married or in a committed relationship? Looking for real advice on having love and enriching your relationship? You are in the right place. Welcome to the Couples Expert with Stuart Fensterheim.
Hey there, it's Stuart. Thanks for joining me for the Couples Expert podcast. I am thrilled to be talking today regarding the ways for the two of you to have the best relationship out there. And what's more fun to talk about than your sex life? Today, I want to talk about a topic that has come up recently in counseling sessions that I've had with a number of my clients. And I was sitting back and just thinking about the fact that so often we have these skewed ideas of what normal sexuality is. And that the way to really think about this is to recognize that the two of you are just two normal people. And so I decided to title this, Your Sex Life is Not a Porno Movie. So often we've been hearing in the news and in many different places that pornography is really a curse on a relationship. But more and more, what I hear in my office is couples who have very unrealistic expectations about normal sexuality and what should go into an ordinary encounter between you and your partner where you're trying to make love. And as we get older, as our needs change, and hopefully you two are talking about this on a regular basis, one of the things to keep in mind is that if you're having an expectation that when you think about what just happened between the two of you, being that you just made love, on whether or not that experience is similar to what someone might see in a pornographic movie. And pornography is really a type of sexuality that can have some benefits, but there's a great deal of problems when we have an expectation that our sex life will equal what people see on screen in pornographic movies. So what I decided to do as I was sitting there just thinking about this, I decided that we should probably have a dialogue about what is realistic. What is the expectation that you and your partner should have when you make love together? And I've talked about the fact that what I hope the two of you have more than anything is just a lot of fun. The problem, though, is the sex industry in America and around the world is huge. There's a niche for almost every kind of sexual desire. Pornography is everywhere. It's not hidden. You can search online and literally find thousands of sites that portray sex acts live and on video. Between sex club, massage parlors, prostitution, and other sexual workers such as live camera sites, you can find anything and everything you may want to explore sexually. Sexual freedom has gone to the extreme, and it seems like nothing is off limits right now. And these venues, what they do is they excite and entice and often satisfy the user, even escalating into a topic that lots of us are talking about in the mental health industry, which is a sex addiction on the level of any hard drug where the addict is willing to lie, cheat, or steal to get his or her sexual fit. It seems that I should be able to have what I see and I interact with online and in sex acts, and now with the internet being so accessible to everybody, we all see all of this and we say, I want that. Growing up as a 14, 15-year-old boy, we had Playboy and Penthouse, but now even 13-year-olds are able to access information sexually that begins to have them feel like there's no way that you can measure up or that your sex life needs to begin with this incredibly huge concept of what satisfying sexuality is what you see on the screen. So the question then becomes, what does all this available pornography mean to your real life, your actual physical sexual relationship with your partner? Assuming that, aside from pornography, you're in a monogamous relationship where you're married or dating someone exclusively, what is the impact of this on your real sex life? Is your use of pornography something that you share with your partner, or is it a dirty little secret you keep for when your partner's not around to satisfy your sexual appetites? The other question that you want to ask yourself is, do you watch this as a couple? Do you both find it arousing? Or has the use of pornography had a negative effect on your relationship and your partner isn't even aware that it's going on? I like to think of this, and some of how I have talked about this in my office is really about, is pornography being used even if there's an available partner? And are the two of you dialoguing about what's acceptable and not acceptable? You can't help but have a conversation when you start talking about pornography. What is the comfort level with masturbation? Are you and your partner mutually masturbating? Are you masturbating in private? Does your partner even know that you're masturbating? And if they don't know, is it because you're keeping it a secret, or it's just something that's expected and you both know it's happening and you're both comfortable with it? All of these questions come up and can get in the way of having a really close, erotic, stimulating sex life that's about real life, not about wanting to be in a sexual relationship that is an unrealistic expectation. There is also the divide across gender lines where more guys are into porn than women. There's also more fetishes and subscribers to these niche sites that are single males or males in relationship than there are women or couples. Some men surveyed stated that they view their need for sex almost like a body function. Masturbating to porn is no different or more satisfying than eating a sandwich. There's no true excitement or passion. It's just a way of getting off. They say that they are hardwired for the visuals, and what they require or need to feel sexually excited is the visual stimulation. Where that becomes an incredible problem is, how does the partners feel about some of this? The other issue is fetish or specialty porn, such as S&M or cross-dressing, view that with some secrecy or of shame, as it's not something that they feel comfortable sharing with their partners. But it's fantasizing about these kinds of things because they aren't quite sure whether or not they'll be judged or if their partner will approve of them participating in it. They don't really expect their partner to want to participate with them or be open to it in any other way. The reason that is so relevant and important, though, is what I've talked a lot about recently in some of the couples weekends that I do, is the fact that we used to believe very much that if a relationship outside the bedroom is doing well, that your sex life takes care of itself, that you don't have to spend a whole lot of energy working on it, that it'll just be okay because your emotional intimacy outside the bedroom will take care of what's in the bedroom. What we now know, and there's more and more people talking about this, is that when we start talking about eroticism and we start talking about the things that turn you on, you have to have that dialogue, because most people will tell you, unless those aspects of their sex life is attended to, they feel very let down and disappointed and quite unhappy. Now, when we start looking at women, there's an opposite side. The flip side of this is those that are into pornography enjoy sharing it with their partners and typically become aroused by the visuals and the scenarios, and that there's more and more women who are now behind the scenes for pornographic sites that are much more into the emotions and the stories and not just into the wham, bam, thank you, man, I just want to get screwed. That there's really a relationship on the screen that gets developed, and that's much more of a turn-on for the women with couples. The other faction of females that were surveyed are either offended or strongly against it. There's still many women who feel incredibly betrayed by their partner watching other women on the screen and don't have a good perspective that that's just a fantasy. What I would like to say about that aspect is that that fantasy is half the battle, because there is this image that our partners are going to be like the women on the screen, craving for your hard penis to just stick it in and make them come like gangbusters. Reality is that sometimes we're just tired, and that women are pleasing their men because of a desire to have the man feel satisfied and not let down. And they're not going to be like the actress on the screen, just moaning and groaning and saying how much you turn them on. Sometimes it's just, let's have a nice, pleasant experience without a lot of fireworks. And how do we as a couple, how do you as a partner of someone who's doing that see that as a positive experience, or do you just feel frustrated because it's not like what you expect? Part of why I'm doing this podcast is I want you to be able to have a satisfying sexual relationship with realistic expectations. That when we start looking at this and we talk about kids and babies and mortgages and everything that goes into a relationship with a partner with real life, sometimes it's not going to click in the same way. There are going to be other times that you're going to have very enjoyable, intimate experiences, sexual experiences that are erotic and turning you on. But if the expectation is that this is what it's going to be like every single time you do it, and if your partner is ever a little bit not interested, how you view them and interpret them and how you interpret their perspective of you as their partner gets really cloudy. And I think that's something that is a tragedy, that a fantasy such as a pornographic movie can have such a really awful, devastating effect on a relationship where two people don't realize what matters is how you feel about each other, the fun you have together, and the fact that you have a monogamous relationship with someone who's willing to do something so intimate and so loving with you that it's a special experience, even if it isn't fireworks. This episode is sponsored by Stuart's Daily Notes. Stuart's Daily Notes is an email newsletter from the Couples Expert that will improve your marriage in 5 minutes a day. Small things can have a big impact on your relationship over time. Sign up for Stuart's Daily Notes. It's a resource of tools, videos, exercises, and more. All done by the couples expert, Stuart Fensterheim, with 30 years of clinical experience working with couples, delivered straight to your inbox. The best part about it, it's free. Sign up today. Go to www.thecouplesexperts.com and change your relationship every single day of your life together. Now back to the episode. Both men and women can definitely get into this trap of feeling like they can't measure up. Not every woman, as I've been talking about, is going to have a hard body and big boobs. Most men have average penis size and don't come anywhere close to being like that specimen they see on the movies. The reality is, and I think I'm not going to say anything that you guys are surprised about, but the reality it is phony. It is a fake. It is a show. It's not real life. It's easy to think that these are real people. They are actresses and actors, not your average run-of-the-mill guys and ladies. So let's talk dick size. You heard me, dick size or penis size. They are not the norm, let me tell you that. I'll let you in on a little secret. According to the Journal of Sexual Medicine, the average penis length for an American male is 5.5 inches when it's erect. So you can't really compare yourself to these guys on the screen who have the biggest penises that you ever saw. It is not reality. You're only doing yourself a disservice by comparing yourself to them. I had a client once that was so incredibly depressed because his penis measured about 4 inches. His wife, on the other hand, thought it was fine. It wasn't a problem for her. He just couldn't get it out of his head that he didn't measure up. That's really sad if you think about it. One of the really cute videos that I saw recently, it was a YouTube video, was porn sex versus real sex. If you Google that, you will see it. It will crack you up. It is one of the funniest, but it's really a helpful video at the same time. I actually use it in my weekend. So take a look, go on YouTube and just search porn sex versus real sex. As a matter of fact, what I will do is in my show notes, I'm going to put the link to it. So let's talk about the women in porno films. These women, for the most part, have big, fake boobs. They color their hair and are on drugs or starve themselves to be skinny. The average woman is nothing like them. You don't have to feel like you can't compare. You are a real woman who has worked hard, born children, and put your body through a lot. You're as sexy or sexier than those porn actresses because you are real and you are the person that your partner loves and gets to be with. Now, what about the sex? By all means, push your sexual boundaries and explore your fantasies with your partner, but don't expect that your partner is going to necessarily participate in those sex acts that you see on porn films. You can talk about it, fantasize about it, experiment with it if you're both into it, but again, let's be realistic. Your partner is not a pro. She's not a contortionist. Those women are not having orgasms every 3 minutes. It's fake. All the screaming and moaning is for show. Women don't always enjoy intercourse for various reasons. Some women, by the way, are incapable of having an orgasm vaginally and need clitoral stimulation in order to climax. Your partner can expect to come like a porn star. Plus, it would scare the children if she screamed like that anyway. And he's not a porn star. Don't expect him to have all the moves or to be able to last for 20 minutes and pleasure you 6 ways to Sunday. He may only have 3 tricks he knows, and you'll have to learn more together. Not everyone has the benefit of lots of sexual partners or experience, and the reality is that you have to do what feels good and do what you enjoy without the expectation that you're going to have an experience remotely like that of a porn video. By the way, his penis will never be as big as John Holmes. If you're both interested, by all means watch porn together. Get excited and aroused. Talk about what you're viewing and what you'd like to try. Keep it real and keep it fun, and definitely keep exploring what turns you on and excites you both individually and together. The main thing here is to be able to feel free enough with your partner to talk about what you want and what you feel that you need to feel satisfied in your sexual relationship. But don't make it one-dimensional. You have to also include the emotional connection. It can be different for each couple, and your previous sexual experiences may not prepare you for what your partner wants. You have to talk about these things. You're only restricted by your consent and your boundaries around what you agree between the two of you. That's what's so cool about a sexual relationship with a monogamous partner, is you guys get to make the rules. It's just about what works for the two of you. This has to be a judgment-free conversation when you're both allowed the freedom to ask for what you want, and more importantly, freedom to say you're not comfortable doing that. Respect someone's discomfort and not willingness to participate in something. I've had lots of couples who I've seen over the years that have tried many different things, threesomes, open relationships. I have to say, for the most part, it doesn't work. For the most part, whenever there's been another person involved, it has messed with both people's heads, and infidelity becomes a huge issue. I don't recommend those things in reality. What I recommend is that the two of you create a fun, active sex life that includes sex games, sex toys, lots of things. And I've been playing around with the idea, and what I may be starting to do is maybe even once a month have a sex topic, because it's such an important part of a relationship, and begin to talk about ways to really stimulate and have a really fun sexual relationship with your partner. But here's where it gets somewhat complicated. If you disagree about the use of porn in your relationship, or if you feel your partner watches too much porn, you have a couple of choices. You can ignore it, or you can try to be open-minded and participate and watch with your partner, or you can fight about it. If it escalates into addiction, and this podcast that we've been doing today is not for those types of couples where sex is an addiction. I want to be clear about that. Sex addiction is a highly difficult topic, and those aren't the couples that we've been talking about during this podcast. There are professionals who can help with a sex addiction, just like there are specialists in substance abuse addiction. If you have an addiction to sexuality and porn, you need to get some help. Please reach out to a qualified specialist. If you feel like your addiction is out of control, please find a qualified individual. Sex addiction is a contradiction for couples therapy. It's a whole different type of counseling. If you're having problems in your relationship with your partner because of a sex addiction, you will not be able to save your relationship until you get a handle on the addiction. I will be putting some links in the show notes if sex addiction is an issue, of some places that you can go to get some help from this. The main thing about your sex life is that it absolutely belongs to you. You and your partner need to decide what you do and how you do it and how often and where and what is included. I don't think there's anything wrong with you and your partner going to sex clubs if it's something that you both want to participate in. The whole key with all of this is that the two of you hopefully will have a great sexual adventure together. Anything that's consensual and safe is all right. When you venture into secrecy or feel like you have to hide or lie to your partner, that's the problem here. Please don't get caught up into that. Avoid that. Have an open communication, a close, secure relationship in which both of you feel emotionally connected, where you can talk about anything. I want to thank you all for joining me today, and realize that it's your love and your partner have to do what you want with each other's body in a playful, loving way, and that you have to learn what turns each other on, having that conversation, how to satisfy your partner. If you struggle with having those kinds of conversations, please reach out to me or a qualified couples counselor. That is probably one of the most important things in a counseling setting, that most couples need to learn how to have those kinds of conversations where the two of you are able to talk about your physical and emotional intimacy. You two deserve to have an active, fun sex life where you're realistic and you don't try to compare yourself to a porn star. The reality is that when you add in love and the emotion to all of this, and intimacy and connection, it's an explosive and passionate combination that when you get it right, you'll never want to compare yourself to a porn film again, because the reality of your own sex life is that you two are hotter than July in Arizona. Take care, and you could always write to me at podcast@thecouplesexperts.com. Give me suggestions, give me your feedback on how you find this podcast. Don't forget to join me next week, where I'm going to be talking about how to have a healthy relationship where conflict is not destructive. And I'm sort of calling it my Arguing 101 class for couples. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye now.
Thank you for listening. This episode has ended, but your journey continues. Head over to www.thecouplesexperts.com to access all the links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as bonus content exclusive to podcast listeners. Enjoyed this episode? Why not hit subscribe now and never miss an episode?